Ford Racing UK welcomes you along to Brands Hatch for the final race in the 2012 Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship, a capacity grid here on the Indy circuit as part of the very well-known Formula Ford Festival here, an event with many years of history, and you can see why when we put on great grids like this. The touring car drivers of tomorrow lining up: Andrew Taylor on pole position, Matt Foley alongside, then Rory Bryant and Nick Bowers. The third row, Aaron Tridwell and John Langridge. Row 4, Sean Clay, next to him Wayne McCauley, then David Elsley and Nick Pope, Sagir Hussain and Joanne Eason on row 6. Row 7, Jordan Annells, David Abbott, then James Appleby and Kevin Sterling, Andy Wilmot doubling up in Class D this weekend, then Maurice Hayden to his outside. They're followed by Simon Roud and Alistair Kellett, William Torreson back in the Championship 21st, Paul Clackett next to him, then it's Alan Potts and Ronaldo Stabressa. The grid completed by Dawn Boyd, Stephen Ward, Graham Field, Ollie Walker and Terence Upton. Upton parked up at the back of the grid, ready to go, and lights will be coming on now. Here they are. Keep your eyes on the red car front row. First pole position for Andrew Taylor, who does not get away well. Neither does Nick Bowers. I think that was in 4th position. Well, Nick, in fact, is there in 4th position and goes on the inside, but it's a cracking start by Matt Foley. Foley leads. Andrew Taylor in 2nd place. Rory Bryant is there. In fact, Rory Bryant's passed Taylor. And there he is in the orange car, up to 2nd. Taylor down to 3rd. Then Nick Bowers goes through, so everybody's safe and sound. There was one, I think, wobble in the middle of the field. As we looked there, car number 93, Ollie Walker's made up a shed load of positions from 28th on the grid. So a cracking start for Ollie. Everybody going through, 83 and 52 through shot 52. Alistair Kellett, great to see the Irishman over. It's a full field. We've got the full length and breadth of the United Kingdom represented this weekend. We've got Scottish drivers, English drivers, Welsh drivers. There's Sean Clay about to try and pass David Abbott, the Silver Fox, in car number 3. Joanne Eason in 6, top lady racer. Now following her is David Elsley, and if you recognise that name, he's the former champion. We've got a challenge on here. Nick Bowers side by side, and I think has lost a place. So Bowers loses a place. We're on board with John Langridge looking at Nick Bowers in front of us. Now Nick's 2nd in the championship, and he needs to stay ahead or get ahead. Stay ahead of John Langridge, who goes up the inside. Langridge, this is the battle for 2nd in the table. The championship, of course, sewn up at Snetterton by Jason Cooper, who's got his car for sale if you want to get into a winning machine for next season. Following them, 15 in black, is Sagir Hussain. Now, Sagir's daughter is making her debut in the Fiesta Junior Championship this year, and let's hope that that continues a trend. Fathers and daughters, fathers and sons maybe making it. It is very much a family sport, and great to see Sagir's daughter coming in and joining the championship. But there is John Langridge in 7 ahead of Nick Bowers. The championship points between the two: Bowers on 210, Langridge on 203. They've both got to drop scores over the course of the meeting. Bowers will drop 20 points and John Langridge will drop 17. So Langridge in slightly the better position as far as dropping scores goes. As up the inside goes Rory Bryant, side by side for the lead. Andrew Taylor's coming up the inside as well, 3 wide in the STs as they come out of Druids. And who's going to lead this one? Surely it's going to be Matt Foley, who's got the inside line, and Graham Hill-Penn. 3-way scrap for the lead, and Bryant gets forced off onto the dirt. They're still side by side, and Andrew Taylor, I thought, was going to take the inside line. He will now. Matt Foley keeps his foot in. Brilliant recovery by Foley. Rory Bryant's in the mix as well. Front runner from the championship from 2 years ago is back in 2nd position, and all that allowed Andrew Taylor to get back in front. Well, the Scheuer-Taylor prepared car, and Scheuer, in deference to Matt Scheuer, the driver coach, top former single-seater racer, and he hasn't bribed me to say that, I promise you, is here and helping Andrew Taylor. It's a joint effort, that team. And I was talking to someone in the paddock about it, and they thought I meant Shaw Taylor Racing, and half the criminals on the other side of the paddock, not involved with the Fiestas, I hasten to add, did a quick bunk, but it's Scheuer Taylor, and they're running very well. So Andrew Taylor, there we go, back David Abbott in the number 3 car. Looks like we got a pass here, and car number 96 making the manoeuvre up the inside to make a place. Sean Clay in 96, down behind them in 18 is Nick Pope. This is the view from David Abbott's car. Sean Clay, a little bit too much speed down into Graham Hill Bend. That's going to scrub off a bit of momentum. David Abbott, the veteran, he's over 60 years of age, trying to come up the inside. He's leading the Veterans Cup in the championship from Kevin Sterling. In fact, he's already won it. A great driver, a great character. He was here last weekend helping out Harry Cockle, former champion, of course, Harry Cockle, now racing in the Ginetta GT Super Cup in the G50 class. Harry was the Zetec champion back in 2010. As past Paul Clackett goes the race leader. So Andrew Taylor starting to work his way through back marker traffic and not too far behind. In fact, he's now passing the 73 car. That's Alan Potts. Great to see Alan in the championship. Sticks to the outside line. And as things are getting wetter here, it looks like Matt Foley is closing in on the race leader. So things getting closer. Andrew Taylor in the 25 machine. He's not had a bad season. Best result of 5th place at Rockingham. Makes it past Alistair Kellett in 52. And you've got to say now that Matt Foley is really putting the pressure on. Matt was 5th in the championship last year, and he's putting the pressure on. Andrew Taylor's forced into a mistake as they come down into Graham Hill Bend. That's going to look at the momentum that gets scrubbed off, and Matt Foley goes through on the inside to take the race lead. Andrew Taylor down to second. The pole position man has lost the race lead. We look back, the orange car of Rory Bryant still in 3rd place. But it's Matt Foley, car number 82, who goes through into lead position, heading Andrew Taylor, who's got to try and get back on course and see if he can claw his way back in. Now, he got the fastest lap of the race when things were a bit drier on lap 2, 58.553. That will grant him an extra few points. If you just go wide, you've got a train of cars behind you, you can get punished. Joanne's coming back on the inside line though, and he's going to try and repass Nels as they go down into Graham Hill Bend. And Nels gets a wheel on the dirt. Joanne Eason is on the inside line. She's going to have a positional advantage as they come into Surtees. We're on board with the car behind David Abbott there, and car number 5, Jordan Nels, getting it all over the place. Abbott, cool, calm and collected. There's a couple of cars off on the outside of the circuit there as they came through Clearways, onto Clark Curve and onto the Brabham Straight again. We're into the closing stages of this race, and it's been a cracker. David Abbott again about to have a go, takes a moment to clear his eyes, and what's he going to do here? Look at the inside line as they come to paddock. Abbott still hanging on to that position. They're dicing down towards the bottom end of the top 10 as the race. We've got a change for second. Rory Bryant's gone second. You saw the orange car going through ahead of the red machine of Andrew Taylor. There he is at the bottom of the hill coming up. Here's the race leader, Matt Foley in the lead. Up into second, 24, Rory Bryant, the Scotsman. So it's the Welshman, the Scotsman and the Englishman. 1, 2, 3. The Irishman some way down. That, of course, is Alistair Kellett. He's down in 20th place at the moment. But there's Andrew Taylor from pole position. I don't think the wet conditions have agreed with him. I don't know if the back markers perhaps caused an issue, but Rory Bryant has certainly read the race well and come through into second place. It's not going to be a win for him to add to the 2 he had in 2010, but it will be a second. Here is Matt Foley though, who's going to take his first Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship win. He's coming up across the grid lines now. He's not got too far to go. The checkered flag is being unfurled, and there it is, the checkered flag for Matt Foley, who takes the win from Rory Bryant. Andrew Taylor 3rd, Aaron Trigwell. We didn't see a huge amount of Aaron in that race, but a great drive from the teenager to come through for 4th ahead of John Langridge, who had Nick Bowers following him. That is so significant for second in the championship. Bowers has closed the gap. Langridge has closed the gap on Nick Bowers, and second in the championship will go to the second race here at Brands Hatch, the final race of the year, round 16 of the championship. What a superb way to open the weekend here. Conditions not excellent, but the racing very much was superb. Well, 24 cars taking the checkered flag here at Brands. As far as the official result goes, there were 2 more completing the race distance on tarmac, but sadly being excluded for technical irregularities, but no such problems for Matt Foley. He wins. Rory Bryant second, Andrew Taylor third, then Aaron Trigwell and John Langridge. Nick Bowers in sixth. Seventh was Maurice Hayden from David Elsley, then Sean Clay, Jordan Linnell, Sagir Hussain and Joanne Eason in 12th. What a great race for her. 13th was David Abbott from Nick Pope, then Kevin Sterling and Andrew Wilmot. James Appleby in 17th ahead of Graham Field. 19th William Torreson, then Alistair Kellett 20th from Alan Potts. Terence Upton in 22nd from Paul Clackett and Dawn Boyd. Fastest lap of the race remained with Andrew Taylor.
Well done, fantastic result. What an exciting race.
Yeah, it was a couple of moments where I thought it was going to end sooner than the checkered flag, but yeah, we had the pace and a few little incidents, but we come through strongest, and nice surprise really.
A couple of moments where you were overtaken or you spun a little bit and you grabbed it back and then you managed to tussle your way back to the front.
There was a couple of moments with a few taps and a little bit of help of a couple of people, but yeah, just kept the point in the right direction, and all good.
How's the car?
A little bit battered, but it'll survive. So ready for a good overall for next year.
Welcome to another episode of Racing No Filter. Joining me in sunny California, Bill Wood, and down in sunny Florida, Peter Keene.
We're going to take a look at some of the products HPD has created for the 2012 Honda Civic, and specifically we're going to show you how to install an adjustable sway bar.
Until then, folks out there, you take care.
Round 15 of the Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship, classes A, B and D on circuit. Andrew Wilmot on pole with Ken Bateman, the Class B pole, alongside him. Class A is led by Chris Tomazis, he's third on the grid with Rory Green on his outside, then Ian Scruton P5, Keith Chapman next to him, then Peter Lloyd and James Grange, followed by Michelle Edwards and David Elsom, Matthew Starbuck and Jack Williams completing the grid. 12 cars here for classes A, B and D. Of course, a separate race because we've got such a huge entry in the STs this weekend. A full brand attached grid for them. And it gives us the chance to have a bit of focus on the A, Bs and Ds. Lights out. Oh, a very mixed start, particularly down towards the back of the field. David Elsom gets away well, car number 40. Just trying to squeeze Ian Scruton onto the inside line. Elsom, the championship leader in Class A, will be hoping to wrap the championship up if possible in this race. Looks like a cracking start by everybody. It's Andrew Wilmot who is attacking the outside line here in the brand new car. This is the car that everyone's aspiring to, the Ford Fiesta Z-Tech S. James Granger going through. Oh, a spin for Scruton, or a half spin as they come out of Druids. Scruton takes a half spin. He's got a lot of work to do now. You can see mixed conditions on the circuit. I think that aided to the somewhat scrappy start down the grid. It's neither wet nor dry. It's difficult for the drivers to be able to hook up in the right places. And as you can see there, car number 48, that's Chris Tomazis being given a 10-second penalty. That was for a false start, so that's going to be good news for David Elsom, who's hoping to wrap the championship up. Elsom to Tomazis 3 point. We'll come back to the championship. We're on board with Ian Scruton ahead of us. The two cars, in fact, it's going to be three wide, isn't it? The car on the inside is Peter Lloyd. On the outside, it's Jack Williams. And Lloyd keeping it on the inside line, going out towards the edge of the circuit here at Paddock Hill Bend is Ian Scruton. Oh, and it looks like Jack Williams is going to get it all sideways and going off in avoidance. You've got to say, Ian Scruton, he's going to be absolutely furious. But yeah, what was that all about? Oh dear, that's really the driver's point of view. Disappointment for Ian Scruton. I'm not sure whether he won't be able to get out of the gravel from there. Now up front, three-way scrap for lead position with Andy Wilmot there in the Daniel's Motorsport prepared car. You may remember he raced it at the last round at Snetterton. Absolutely loves it. So it's a great car. Lacks a wee bit of power on the faster parts of the circuit. He said handling-wise in the corners it can't be beaten, and of course there's plenty of corners here at Brands Hatch, and that means that Andy Wilmot, who of course is no slouch at all as a driver, is away. He was here racing in the Clio Cup last weekend on the touring car package as marshals go to the rescue of Inscruton. I think they're telling Ian there's no way he's going to be able to get the car out of the gravel. So whether we'll get a safety car or not, I don't know. Yes, we will. There's confirmation of that. Andy Wilmot, of course, looking to try and secure a place on the touring car package, but doing some development work with this Mark 8 Fiesta ZTEC S. Great bit of kit. Andy, as we said, no slouch. 4th in Class A in 2010, 7th in the STs in 2011. Although there is absolutely no question at all that David Elsom's drive through the field from 10th on the grid has been one of the highlights of this race. Let's see whether he can close down on the race leader. There is David Elsom, still chasing hard in this one. Andrew Wilmot back in 3rd in the Class D car, and Chris Tomazis, look at the lead that he's got. It's not 10 seconds, so this is going to push him down into 2nd place. David Elsom still in 3rd. Up into Druids they go. Back marker traffic looming for them. It's Peter Lloyd, the black and gold car, and they'll have to deal with Peter. He of course should go to the outside of the circuit or off racing line to allow the faster cars to come through. The marshals will be waving the blue flags at him when they see that scenario approaching. Race leaders through Surtees. Chris Tomazis leads from David Elsom. There is David, championship leader, and at the moment he will carry that. In fact, he will extend the championship lead over Chris Tomazis, who laps the car off Peter Lloyd. Peter Lloyd in his 3rd race meeting with us, and keeps to the inside of the track. Through goes Chris Tomazis, the race leader. There is David Elsom, 2nd, about to lap Lloydie as well. Packed down the order. Ken Bateman is 4th place, still leading Class B. It's Michelle Edwards 2nd in Class B at the moment in the 77 car. And Michelle, of course, 4th in the championship. Rory Green 5th in the table. Wilmot trying to get back on terms with David Elsom, but Chris Tomazis continues on his way, and it looks like he's going to take a win here. We're heading towards the closing stages of this one, and Chris Tomazis has had 2 wins in the championship thus far, or a win at Snetterton, 2 wins at Snetterton, and of course a win here at Brands Hatch, 2 wins at Brands Hatch last time out. So a little bit of a track specialist to come up across the line again. David Elsom is still there in 2nd place, and Andrew Wilmot trying to take the battle to him, but he just hasn't been able to do it. You've seen how hard that Wilmy's been fighting the car. Doesn't get a drift on this time. He's keeping it within the limits, trying to close down on David Elsom, who's losing a little bit of ground on Chris Tomazis. Now you can see the extra pace from Chris Tomazis. He's got the fastest lap in Class A, so at the moment we'll bag that extra point. Ken Bateman heading for a win in Class B. Ken having won having won at Rockingham earlier on in the season, and also took a win and fastest lap at Donington, and all those points will be stacking up in his favour. He's got 157 points. Keith Chapman on 149. And Keith away down the order at the moment in the red 17 car, because we saw him lapped in the earlier stages. But David Elsom still there in 2nd place and hanging on to this one. Chris Tomazis in 48 is the race leader, and he's pulling away. And I think really you've got to say David Elsom's probably doing the sums in the 40 car. He knows that it's going to be 4 points. David Elsom can't afford to drop another score. That's the danger for him in race 2, because Chris Tomazis, if David Elsom gets a non-finish in race 2, he won't score any points. If Chris Tomazis doesn't finish, that will mean that he won't drop 12 points, and that puts him back within three-point buffer zone with David Elsom. And of course he's taking 4 points out of Elsom here. So if both of them non-finish in race 2, it's going to really take the championship to the wire. Here we go, on board with David Elsom for the last lap of the penultimate race, up across the line. They climb up, and then we've got this absolutely awesome dive down into Paddock Hill. Paddock on the outside is where they're going, and Elsom's got it sideways. Oh, is he going to get back on track here? Through goes Andy Wilmot. Andrew Wilmot goes through. Now, has Elsom lost so much time there that he's going to lose the class lead on the clock? Because remember, the lead car's got a 10-second penalty. So Andrew Wilmot's gone through. Wilmot in second position is going to take the overall win here on the clock. Elsom's got, I wonder if he's got a car problem. 2 corners on the bounce. That is definitely going to put him more than 10 seconds behind Chris Tomazis. So Tomazis with a 10-second penalty is going to take the class win. He's going to take the checker, but remember, a 10-second penalty to be added to his race time. He's going to be the winner on the tarmac. He won't know, I don't think, that Elsom's more than 10 seconds behind. There goes Keith Chapman going through the picture. But it's a win on the tarmac for Chris Tomazis. That's going to be inherited by Andy Wilmot, who crosses the line for the checker. David Elsom is third on the road, and he's going to be third on the clock as well. He's coming under pressure from Ken Bateman, who's going to try and get 4th place up across the line now. Goodness me, Elsom with a storming drive through the first part of the race, and it all seemed to go pear-shaped for him here on the Indy circuit in the last lap. Well, close stuff from the Fiestas. The championship for Class A is going to go to the wire. Here's the result then of the penultimate race of the year. Andy Wilmot winning from Chris Tomazis and David Elsom. Ken Bateman takes Class B in 4th place from James Granger, and Jack Williams rounding out the top 6. 7th place goes to Michelle Edwards. Peter Lloyd is 8th, and Keith Chapman in 9th. The fastest laps going to Chris Tomazis Class A, Andy Wilmot Class D, and Ken Bateman in Class B.
Congratulations, what an exciting race. How did you find it?
I found it very exciting. There was a lot of mixed feelings of who's going to put wets on the back, slicks. I chose to go for slicks, which would have made it a lot more hairier and slippery at the beginning until they warmed up. However, the track never really warmed up, so it remained slippery through and through. There was a lot of near hits and misses. I saw Dave coming up through the back of my mirror really quickly, unfortunately for him. There was a few incidents that slowed him down. I had one that was very close to the barriers, managed it, a lot of grass on the tyres, big massive sideways. They all overtook me, and there's one stage at Paddock I think all 4 of us managed to go abreast, and I would say that was one of the most exciting moments of my racing history at that point.
Wow, really tricky race. Congratulations on the result.
Thanks very much, Lucy. Yeah, it was nice to be racing with the other classes. Unfortunately, I led my class start to finish, so I didn't race with my own class, but it was nice to race with the faster cars, and I was ahead of them for quite a lot of the race, so good fun.
It must have been quite interesting to have 3 classes instead of the usual 2.
It was very interesting, especially when the 3 different classes went into Paddock Hill Bend side by side, and I was being squeezed by Andy Wilmot on one side and Dave Elsom on the other, and I think I shut my eyes.
You did really well. I think everybody did really well to avoid all of the excitement and spinning, and it looked quite slippery.
It was very greasy out there for the whole time, and I think, people were going off at the start and on the very last lap. Dave Elsom had a spin, and I managed to get past him again. So it was a really good race, really good fun. Hopefully the same this afternoon.
Congratulations, fantastic result. This is your first race.
Yeah, this is my first ever motor race, professional motor race in fact.
What a fantastic result. How did you find it?
I found it very interesting. It was very interesting at the start. Somebody spun into Paddock and I managed to nip past a few cars there. And then I had a great battle with one of the Z-Techs. I'm hoping to try and push a bit harder for the next race though.
warm welcome back to Brands Hatch for the last race of the season. It's the reverse grid, and that gives Aaron Trigwell pole, Andrew Taylor alongside, then Rory Bryant and Matt Foley, John Langridge 5th, and Nick Bowers starting alongside him. Then it's Maurice Hayden and David Elsley, Sean Clay 9th and Jordan Hanel's 10th. 11th is Sagir Hussain, and next to him is Joanne Easton. 13th on the grid, David Abbott, the Wise Owl. Then next to him, Nick Pope, Kevin Sterling and Andy Wilmot on row 8. James Appleby, he's next to Graham Field, 18th on the grid. 19th, William Torreson, then Alistair Kellett, the Irishman. Alan Potts, Terence Upson, 22nd. They're followed by Paul Clackett. Second of our lady racers, Dawn Boyd, 24th. Then it's Ollie Walker and Simon Roud. Steve Ward and Wayne McCauley, and completing the grid, Ronaldus de Bressa. Big field of cars all ready to go for our last race of the year. What a cracking season it's been. Looks like a good start from Andrew Taylor from the outside of the front row. Very often an advantage to be had on the run down to Paddock Hill Bend here at Brands Hatch on the side-by-side grid. But there, look at this, a very, very big field of cars and all the same specification, but going through, it's Matt Foley. Matt Foley leads from the second row of the grid. Rory Bryant's trying to come through as well. Are we going to have a first lap free of incident as they come up to Druids for the first time? It looks like yes, we are. Well played, all the drivers. That is terrific driving standards from 31 even specification cars with a reverse grid. Well, I don't think there are too many championships where 31 cars would come to Brands Hatch with a partially reversed grid and everybody making it around, not only Paddock Hill Bends but Druids. If we look at Joanne Easton, I think has been involved in a little bit of rubbing, and that's not a problem because it's just the wing mirror that's holding up. No terminal damage on any of the cars. Sean Clay looking to try and move up the inside. Side by side they go. This is the view from Dawn Boyd looking back at Stephen Ward ahead of her, the Scotsman we saw in trouble in race number 1. Keeping it on circuit for now, looking to see if he can squeeze his way up the inside, side by side at the moment. And it looks like he's going to make it through into Paddock Hill Bend. Yeah, he's managed to do it, so good racing there from Stephen Ward, who makes up a position. Andrew Taylor, though, has managed to get back in front. Taylor will be very keen. Remember the top 3 drivers from race 1 carry ballast. 30 kilos for race 1 winner, 20 kilos for second, 10 kilos for third. That's going to make things a little bit difficult. At the moment, Matt Foley is there as David Elsley tries to get his way through. Past Rory Bryant, he's all over the place there. Was there a contact, or was it a little bit of curving possibly from David Elsley? Elsley with 11 career wins in the championship under his belt, a mixture of the 2008 and 2009 championships. As we mentioned, he was champion in 2009, and you can see why. Not afraid of the outside line, very keen to try and get around anybody who's there. And of course the driver that's there at the moment that he's trying to go around the outside is 2011 Class A champion John Langridge. Langridge is cutting his teeth in the STs this year and gunning for second place. It looks like his first season will result in a trophy because he's going to take third place. Fourth in the championship is Aaron Trigwell, who didn't start too well, we've got to say. From pole position, dropped back into fourth. So Aaron not really having the best of things there as Matt Foley comes under pressure from Rory Bryant. It's Andrew Taylor down the road in lead position at the moment, but here comes Rory Bryant. The Scotsman's looking through on the inside. We're going back down the order. Sean Clay coming out of Clark Curve along the Bradham Straight, past the very impressive buildings that they've got here at Brands. Lots of very impressive hospitality to be enjoyed in those suites overlooking not only the start line but also giving you a fantastic view of the whole circuit. It's raining here. It's a great place to have a place where you can sit in the dry and enjoy all the racing. But Sean Clay at the moment running well. Sean 9th in race number 1, and we're just wondering how this one is going to pan out. At the moment, the battle between Nick Bowers and John Langridge. Bowers on 221 points, John Langridge on 219 after the first race, so it's closed down. That's before the drop scores. And Aaron Trigwell's going for the lead. Side by side as they come up to Paddock Hill Bend with Andrew Taylor, who's got the line, and John Langridge sees an opportunity. Trigwell's got a good run round the outside and hangs on to it, but Langridge really there. Well, faint heart never kissed a pig, and he wants to go up the inside and try and take second place, but it wasn't to be there. He was a slightly tighter line around paddock, and that didn't quite afford him as much momentum down into Halewoods. The three leaders down the hill. David Elsley is still there, fourth. A great return to the championship for David, but the top three just start to spread out a little bit. It was literally car following car following car when they came across the line, and now it's spaced out again, so we take a little bit of a breather. Back marker traffic looming. I think that's Alan Potts in the 73 machine, the light orange livery on the car giving that away. Oh dear, and off the circuit goes Wayne McCauley, the top Scottish driver. Winds up his race in the barriers. Let's hope that he can do the championship next year. He was second to Peter Cruikshank in the Scottish XR2s this year. Aaron Trigwell still challenging for the lead. At the moment, John Langridge a little bit back in third place, closes up under braking as you would expect when they get up towards Druids, but Andrew Taylor still being put under pressure by Aaron Trigwell. See whether Trig can do anything to catch up. The young man from Braintree did a bit of Sax Max on 750 Motor Club. Past the slower car of Alan Potts they go. He then moved into Formula V single-seater championship in 2011. That's the car we're looking at. Will turn 19 in January next year, and he's really gunning for the lead. It's still Andrew Taylor out front, and this the view from John Langridge. Now, we saw this move a couple of laps before, and Trigwell's going around the outside, and surely he's got his nose in front of Taylor, who knows he's got the advantage on the inside line. Here comes John Langridge, closes up the top two. You can see when you spar with another car, it slows you up, and Trigwell's left the door open. Langridge sees the gap, goes through, and is Trigwell going to be able to repass and regain second place? Look either side, looking in the mirrors, we can't see any sign of Trigwell there, and I think John Langridge is through and safe into second place. Now he'll possibly be mounting a little bit of defence for half a lap or so before maybe he'll have a go at Andrew Taylor, the race leader. So it's Taylor still there in front, John Langridge in second, Aaron Trigwell, we can't see in the mirror at the moment, but we're assuming he's still there in third. Yes, he is, there he is, the white car, Trigwell down to third. And you've got to say that was by virtue of good attacking driving from the 18-year-old. He was having a go. Hats off to him for that. You know, I've seen so many drivers, particularly over the years in Formula Ford, that are just quite happy to sit back, not even bother to try and overtake, thinking about championship points or whatever. But hats off to Trigwell. He had a go, but it meant he left the door open, and John Langridge came up. Now Langridge will be thinking, can he close in enough to Andrew Taylor to do a challenge himself? And of course, if he takes the outside line, it might leave the door open for Aaron Trigwell to come back into second. Langridge goes wide, gets a wheel onto the grasscrete here, and now he's looking at the inside line, but he's just too far back at the moment from Andrew Taylor. Down onto Cooper Straight they go again. Andrew Taylor leading, John Langridge second, Aaron Trigwell in third. These guys could almost be the way things are going to look next year if they all come back and play for 2013. It would be great to see, but it's Andrew Taylor, the race leader, as he did in race number one. Is he going to hang on for his first win in the STs? Taylor then up across the line again. He will go now, ticks off another lap here at Brands Hatch. Of course, the race format here, 20 minutes for each race, and we're on to the last lap. The 20 minutes is up for these guys, and it looks like Taylor's going to take it, but he runs a little bit wide there. And how close is John Langridge? He's looking up the inside line as they come to Druids. He's through. Langridge takes the lead at Druids on the last lap. Aaron Trigwell's coming up. Andrew Taylor, remember, I said it before, he's the only car with ballast. I'm not making excuses for the lad, but he held on to the lead, went a little bit wide into Druids, and Langridge has got it. Taylor thinks about looking up the inside, along Cooper Straight, into Surtees. He's certainly putting pressure on, slightly wider line in, that might afford him more momentum through clearways. It's all going to depend on how John Langridge places the 7 car, and it's absolutely inch perfect. John Langridge is going to come through and take another win. It's going to be his 3rd win of the year. Surely Taylor can't do anything about it as they come through Clark Curve onto the Brabham Straight. Langridge wins. Here comes Trigwell, but it's Andrew Taylor second. That was a finale fitting of the Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship for 2012. A superb season. What a wonderful race to finish the year. John Langridge, Andrew Taylor, Aaron Trigwell. Nick Bowers is 5th. He secures 2nd in the championship because he's got fastest lap as well. Congratulations to Nick Bowers on a superb 2nd in the table. John Langridge will take 3rd, but it was the closest of close finishes on points between those. Well, once again, 24 finishers here at Brands Hatch. And I think everyone's had a fantastic racing weekend in the Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship. Not only Class Cs, of course, but the Class A and Bs and the emergent Class D. Here's confirmation. John Langridge the winner, Andy Taylor 2nd, Aaron Trigwell 3rd from David Elsley. Nick Bowers is 5th, ahead of David Abbott. Jordan Linnell 7th from Rory Bryant. Then Sean Clay and Maurice Hayden. Joanne Easton 11th. Nick Pope in 12th place. 13th goes to Andrew Wilmot. Kevin Sterling is next with Alistair Kellett 15th from Sagir Hussain. James Appleby 17th. Then William Torreson in 18th position. Terence Upton is 19th ahead of Simon Round. Ronaldo Stabressa 21st from Graham Field. Paul Clackett 23rd. And Alan Potts completing the runners in 24th place. Fastest lap to Nick Bowers.
Brilliant result. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a really, really exciting race to be in. I don't know what it was like to watch, but yeah, I don't know where I was after the start. It was probably 6th or 7th and just picked them off one by one. Yeah, excellent fun.
There was a little yellow flag incident around Paddock Hill. What was happening there?
Well, I went straight up the inside of Aaron when we were both behind Mr. Taylor and saw a car in the wall and had to really put the anchors on to not go past him, because obviously if you pass under yellows, that's an infringement and you can get in trouble for that. So that set me back a little bit, but after a couple of corners I was right back on them again, and it was just gloves off for all three of us, having a fantastic battle to the line.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new Go Racing TV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
The last race of the season, round 16 of the Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship for classes A, B and the lone class D car of Andrew Wilmot, who starts off pole position. Chris Tomazis alongside him, then David Elsom. Ken Bateman holds the Class B pole, he's 4th. James Grange in the blue 44 car on the inside of row 3. Jack Williams next to him. Then it's Michelle Edwards and Peter Lloyd. Keith Chapman in 9th. The two non-finishers from race 1, Rory Green and Ian Scruton completing the 11 car grid. Matt Starbuck not taking to the grid, unfortunately. The driver who qualified 11th for our first race. Green flag from the back of the field. Lights on and we're ready for 20 minutes of action here, and there's a problem for James Grange, who doesn't stall on the grid but gets very, very much bogged down and finds himself in 11th and last place behind Ian Scruton as the leaders go into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time. Looks like a good start from Michelle Edwards, has managed to get up the inside of Jack Williams. But it's 48, Chris Tomazis that leads. Andrew Wilmot in the Class D car 2nd, trying to stick his nose up the inside. Very good clean racing between the two. Wilmot allowing room. Of course, he wants to bring the development car home in one piece. And he's side by side with Chris Tomazis in 48, who's had a clean start this time. Full start though for 77, Michelle Edwards. We said he'd made progress, and he's been adjudged to have jumped the start, so he's going to get 10-second penalty in this race. Chris Tomazis through in 48 into the lead, gets it all sideways and away it goes. And is that going to be his chance of the championship, because David Elsom goes through on the inside? Elsom's got the points lead, he's got even more of an upper hand now. Ken Bateman's going to try and go through. Bateman looking for a double win to secure 2nd place in Class B. Nick Barton already crowned as champion. Goodness me, all going off on these early stages at Brands Hatch. Of course, the opening stage of any race, absolutely crucial. You can't win the race in lap number 1, but you've got to keep it on the track to do so later on, as David Elsom comes under pressure from a recovering Chris Tomazis. Chris looks up the inside. Let's see whether he's going to try and just go through on the inside line. Look how hard he's working the 48 car. He's got the outside line as they come down the hill. Now looks back to the inside. So Tomazis desperately wants the place back. Remember, on drop scores, he got the championship lead down from 15 points to 11 coming into this race. So he's got to beat David Elsom by 11 points. That effectively means, with the number of runners in the championship, that Elsom's got to non-finish. So Elsom really just needs to keep the car on track, but Tomazis is going to do everything possible to take the win, and he's side by side with him at the moment for the class win. Andy Wilmot down the road in the Class D car, side by side up across the line, and it's David Elsom still there. They're fighting it out. Elsom is really taking the fight to him. Now bear in mind that Elsom's race one, he was all over the place, wasn't it, at the end of race number one? He's fighting hard. Well, having said that, down to second place, he wants to go out with a race win in class. I think they probably know that the Class D car with a little bit more development should be sorted. It looks like Andy Wilmot's away down the road. But David Elsom then in the 40 car, second position. It's going to be enough for the championship. He had such a great start to the championship. Took 2 wins at Silverstone in round 1, second place in round 2 at Snetterton, 2 wins going to Torsten Skeen, who had a one-off drive in this year's championship. Elsom dropping back at the moment on Chris Tomazis, who picked up a retirement in the second meeting. He was second to David Elsom in both of the other rounds, and Elsom really coming on to, Chris Tomazis really coming on to form when we were here at Brands Hatch a few weeks ago. So Ken Bateman involved in the mix with car number 20, Jack Williams. Bateman in Class B, remember the slower cars, it's slightly drier than we saw in race number 1, and that means that the Class A cars should, in theory, get ahead. There's the A1 Gearbox's car of Jack Williams. This is his second race meeting with us. He was here at our previous Brands Hatch one, and looks like a pretty handy driver. He's had 2 DNFs in both of his first races in the 2 meetings that we've had, but looks like he's well poised here. He's got ahead of Michelle Edwards, which is good. Jack Williams looking at the moment, he's third place in Class A. The Fiesta SIs, the older Z-Tech car, being passed there of Ken Bateman in 55, and it's the long way round for the Class A car, and the Z-Tech gets past. So Michelle Edwards running at the moment second in Class B. Keith Chapman, Peter Lloyd and Rory Green will complete the runners in B. So this is a good drive from Jack Williams. He's up into 4th. Andy Wilmot leads in the lone Class D Mark 8 Fiesta Z-Tech S. Chris Tomazis second. David Elsom third. There is Jack Williams in 4th place. James Grange making progress as well after his non-start. So James a little way down, but starting to recover after that disappointing effort off the line for him. And back to Andy Wilmot, who is lapping in the 57s. Now, in race number 1, we saw that car was trading fastest laps and trading the race lead with 3 other cars. It's slightly drier now. Chris Tomazis seems to be pretty happy, and I think closing in on Andy Wilmot, and in fact bagging slightly faster laps. Look at David Elsom being left behind at Clearways, through Clark Curve, onto the Brabham Straight once again. He's chasing hard, but it looks like he's lost a little bit of ground here. Up across the line they go. This is the scrap for 3rd place. I've got to say, probably the closest dice on circuit at the moment. Wide line from Williamson car up towards paddock. Maybe a puff of smoke coming out of the car. Looks reasonably okay with it. James Grange still running in 5th place. We go back and see Ken Bateman. There's Ian Scruton trying to get past the slower Class B cars, but Elsom still hangs on to it at the moment. Now, of course, the thing that Elsom might be worrying about, and I'm not casting any aspersions on the character of Jack Williams, but if he makes a reckless lunge and takes out David Elsom, that could be championship over for Elsom, so he's got to be very careful. Elsom at the moment doesn't want to give up the place. Full credit to him, he's taking the race right the way to the flag, but there is always that danger, and a more conservative racer might have decided to let Jack Williams pass, but David Elsom doesn't want to do that. Wide line again out of Clark Curve along the Brabham Straight. He is now thinking about the championship, because we're into the closing stages of this one here at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit, and it looks like David Elsom is going to take the Class A title He's going to be the last driver to be crowned champion in the Dunlop Ford Fiesta Championship for this year. Of course, Jason Cooper won the STs. We saw Nick Barton win the Class Bs last time out at Snetterton. Both of those guys doing it around early, but Class A has gone right the way to the wire here at Brands Hatch, with Chris Tomazas taking 2 class wins by the looks of things. And we're on to the last lap. Andy Wilmot is clear. He's got about 3 seconds clear over Chris Tomazas, who's done absolutely everything he can to take the championship to the wire. And really, you've got to say, Chris Tomazas, if the start of his season had been anywhere near as good as the second half of the year, then he would have been ahead. But it's David Elsom that did all that work at the start of the year, and he's going to be champion. It looks like he's going to take second place in the race, but Andrew Wilmot in the development Fiesta Zetec S is going to add another win, an overall win, and see the checkered flag by rights through Surtees for the last time. This magnificent looking Daniels Motorsport prepared car. Let's hope that we see a good few more of these out in 2013. Lifts the wheel. It's been exemplary stuff from Andy Wilmot, setting out his credentials to move further up the racing ladder. And here he comes, up across the line. The checkered flag is being readied, and there it is. Wilmot takes the win. Second place goes to Chris Tomazas. He's going to get second in the championship. We've got some back markers coming through. Keith Chapman is there. Chapman will finish third in Class B, just ahead of Peter Lloyd and Rory Green. They've had a close race, and now we wait to see who's got the best out of David Elsom and Jack Williams. It's a long wait for them. Where is Elsom? He needs to finish to clinch the championship. Here he is, Elsom. He's going to be second in Class A, and he's going to take the championship title for A. Well, warmest congratulations to David Elsom, who takes second position. A great race between himself and Jack Williams to clinch the championship. And here's confirmation of the result. Andy Wilmot from Chris Tomazas, David Elsom in third, Jack Williams fourth from James Grange, and Ian Scruton rounding off the top 6, and indeed the Class A runners. 7th place and a win in class again for the man who comes second in the championship in class, Ken Bateman. Michelle Edwards is next from Keith Chapman, Peter Lloyd 10th, and Rory Green in 11th place. Fastest laps going to Chris Tomazas, Andy Wilmot and Ken Bateman.
Our first race was superb. I told myself before we started the race that I was to stay out of it, just to manage the points, and the trouble is the minute you get your helmet on and you just want to race, and it was so close. I really enjoyed that. It was probably the best, again, closest race that we had all season really, so yeah, it was really good.
I mean, there were so many moments where you all got so close, it looked like you're all going off, and we were all just like...
It's a good testament to the other drivers, because I think at one point there was 3 of us abreast going into paddock, and I think Chris was made up the 4th one coming through, and I think, you know, you've got to have a certain element of trust with the other drivers to be able to do that, and I don't think any of us actually touched. I know it's close, but that was quite a good feeling going down there 4 abreast. It was a good kick, a good adrenaline rush, despite everything I said about just manage the points for the championship, so I just couldn't help but get involved.
Well, talking of the championship, that's it, you've done it.
Yeah, today was all I had to do was finish the last race to win, and second race was good. I tried to keep up with Chris and Andy. They were pulling away, and to be honest, without risking where I was and falling off, I just decided to sort of settle in for a third on track and second in the class for a win. I saw Jack coming up pretty quick towards the end, and more of a pride thing than a points thing, but I just thought, you know, and he put on a good challenge at the end, so I still had to race and finish for championship.